My wife slept with her own cousin, and I don't know what's more broken, my heart or my understanding of reality. I've been holding this in for almost a year. Not a whisper of the full truth has left my mouth. Not to my brother, not to my therapist, not even to the divorce lawyer who's been guiding me through the slow death of my marriage. I've said parts, hinted, circled the edges. But the full thing? No, not once. It's too revolting, too surreal. Even speaking the words makes it feel more tangible, more grotesque. And for months now, I've been desperately pretending that maybe, just maybe, I imagined it. That it was some fever dream brought on by stress, exhaustion, or madness. But I can't lie to myself anymore. I need to let this out. Even if nobody believes me. Even if people read this and roll their eyes or accuse me of exaggeration. I swear to you, every word of what I'm about to write is real. God help me, I wish it wasn't. My wife, the woman I loved, the woman I built a life around, slept with her cousin. I'm 34 now. I married Alyssa when I was 27. We'd been together for 3 years before tying the knot, met through mutual friends shortly after college. Alyssa was this bright, chaotic, intoxicating whirlwind of a person. Everyone seemed to orbit around her. She could walk into a room and flip its mood upside down, her laugh, her stories, her presence. I was the opposite. Quiet, deliberate, a planner by nature. I liked order, reliability. She liked last-minute road trips, dancing barefoot in the kitchen at 2 a.m., and drinking too much wine on a Tuesday. Somehow we made it work. She brought spontaneity and color. I brought stability and direction. That's how we used to describe ourselves. A perfect balance. Yin and yang. Looking back now, I wonder if that balance ever really existed, or if I just told myself it did because I was so in love with her. And I would have moved mountains for her. I wasn't perfect, but I tried to be a good husband. I was the provider, the supporter, the one who picked her up when she stumbled, paid the bills, did the chores, backed her every time she changed jobs or chased some fleeting passion. Dog training, ceramics, a blog that lasted 6 posts. I wanted her to find herself, to feel fulfilled. I was all in on building a future together. Her family, though, that was always a tangled web. A massive, sprawling network of blood relatives, step-siblings, half-siblings, godparents, and what she called play aunties, who weren't related by blood but had been around forever. I'd meet someone new at every gathering and ask how they were connected, and Alyssa would just laugh it off with a, "Don't worry about it, babe. It's complicated." I accepted that, chalked it up to her upbringing. Her family was messy but loyal, tight-knit, or so I thought. And her Jay was introduced to me early on as one of her cousins. No real elaboration. Just, that's Jay, he's cool. He was maybe a year older than her. Covered in tattoos, loud, the type of guy who turned every sentence into a joke and every silence into an opportunity to dominate the room. He had that slick, performative kind of charm that some people mistake for charisma. I never bought it. There was always something about him that rubbed me the wrong way, something too slick, too rehearsed. I later learned he'd done time for drug charges and had only recently cleaned up his act. Alyssa assured me he was a changed man, but he was always too familiar, too physical. Always had a hand on someone's shoulder, a touch on the lower back that lingered a second too long. And with Alyssa, there was a strange energy. Once I caught him watching her dance in the backyard during a barbecue, eyes locked on her hips like he was watching a stranger, not a family member. Alyssa would brush it off. "God, you're so uptight. He's like a big brother to me." I should have trusted my gut. We made it 6 years. 6 years of birthdays, holidays, trips to her family's lake house, camping with friends, boozy game nights, and the inevitable awkward family drama that always seemed to swirl around Alyssa's clan. We tried for kids. It didn't happen. Alyssa was crushed, but we kept going. Or I thought we did. Maybe we were drifting apart and I didn't want to see it. Maybe I missed the signs because I didn't want to believe she could hurt me. Things started unraveling last October. I noticed the usual signs. She was glued to her phone, suddenly protective of it. Would step outside to take private calls when she never used to. She was more irritable, more emotionally distant. In bed, she went from affectionate to absent. But we were trying for a baby. I figured maybe the stress of not conceiving had gotten to her. I offered counseling. She refused. Said she was just tired. I believed her. I wanted to believe her. Then came the bachelor party. My friend's last hurrah before his wedding. It was supposed to be a weekend out of town, beer, hiking, games. Nothing crazy. But the groom got food poisoning the second night in, and the whole event imploded. I decided to drive home early. I got in around midnight. House was dark, but the porch light was on. I remember feeling weirdly grateful, like, oh, she left the light on for me. But when I opened the door, I saw his shoes. Jay's. Right there in the entryway. My blood ran cold. At first, I told myself maybe she invited him over to talk. Maybe something was going on in the family. Maybe I was being paranoid. But then I heard the music, faint, coming from upstairs. And underneath the music I heard something else. Laughter. Moaning. My feet moved before my brain did. I walked up the stairs. Every step felt heavier than the last. My heart was in my throat. I reached the bedroom and opened the door, and everything stopped. There they were. Naked. Twisted up in the sheets. Her on top of him, laughing like she didn't have a care in the world. Our bed. My bed. The one we had chosen together. The one we were supposed to bring our future children into. She screamed. He bolted. Grabbed his clothes and ran like the coward he is. And me? I didn't say a word. I turned around. Walked out. Drove. No destination. I just drove until the sun started rising. Ended up sitting in a gas station parking lot in the middle of nowhere, staring into nothing, trying to remember how to breathe. The days that followed are mostly a blur. I disassociated. My brain went somewhere else just to protect itself from the trauma. I called in sick to work. Let the laundry pile up. Ate nothing but crackers and bad coffee for a week. I watched old movies on mute just for the distraction. When I finally confronted her, she didn't even deny it. She cried. Told me it just happened. That it wasn't serious. Then she said the most insane thing I've ever heard, that it wasn't really incest because they weren't that close growing up. As if the legal definition was the issue. As if that somehow made it okay. She begged me to keep it quiet. Said if her family found out, they'd never speak to her again. Said I'd ruin her life. I laughed in her face. Her life. What about mine? What about the dreams we'd built, the child we were trying for, the love I poured into her every single day? Eventually she flipped it. Said I'd been distant. That Jay understood her. That he made her feel seen. Let me be crystal clear. I could have handled infidelity. Not easily, but I could have survived it. If she had slept with a coworker, a stranger, even one of my friends, it would have been devastating but not unthinkable. But this was a violation of everything sacred. Of trust. Of family. Of biology. We separated the same week. I moved out. Filed for divorce. I never told her family the full truth. I said she cheated, but I couldn't bring myself to say with who. I couldn't stomach the shame, hers or mine. Maybe that was weak. Maybe I should have burned it all down. But I was already bleeding. I didn't want to watch the rest of the house go up in flames. Jay vanished. No texts. No apologies. Just gone. Good. If I ever see him again, I don't know what I'll do. The aftermath? I dropped 20 pounds in 8 weeks. Couldn't eat. Couldn't sleep. I started having panic attacks. The kind that make your hands go numb and your vision blur. My therapist told me I was showing signs of PTSD. I believe her. Even now, I still wake up in the middle of the night thinking I hear the creak of footsteps or that faint music from upstairs. Dating? Forget it. How do you trust again when the person you love didn't just cheat? They shattered your understanding of human decency. But here's the part one want to end on, and it might be the most important. I'm still here. I started going to the gym again. I picked up photography, something I haven't done since college. I see my friends more. I laugh again even if it's quieter than it used to be. I don't feel whole yet, but I'm no longer a ghost. And if you're reading this and you've been betrayed, let me say this. Their brokenness is not your burden. You can love with your whole heart. You can give everything. And they can still destroy it, not because you weren't enough, but because they were never whole to begin with. Alyssa was broken in ways I couldn't fix. Jay was never anything but poison. But me? I'm healing. I'm not broken. Not anymore. Update. My wife slept with her cousin. It's been a little over a year since I wrote that post. A year since I typed those words for the first time. A year since I told the world, or at least the internet, about the most humiliating, surreal, and traumatic moment of my life. I wasn't sure I'd ever come back here. Honestly, I almost deleted the original post a dozen times. But something stopped me. The messages. The comments. The people who said they believed me, who said they went through something similar, who thanked me for putting words to their pain. That post wasn't just cathartic. It reminded me that I wasn't alone. That what happened to me wasn't too disgusting to name. That healing is possible, even if it's ugly and uneven. So this is for anyone who followed my story, who felt sick for me, who wondered how I was doing. Here's where I am now. I am divorced. Officially. Completely. It's done. Signed. Still. Processed. Alyssa dragged her feet, of course. Cried during the mediation sessions. Tried to float the idea of reconciliation once, like she forgot the nature of her crime. I didn't take the bait. I kept it cold. Professional. My lawyer knew the full story, not because I wanted to share it, but because I needed him to understand why I was so firm about certain boundaries. No, she doesn't get to keep the house. No, I'm not interested in joint therapy. No, I don't want a single piece of furniture we picked out together. I walked away from that marriage with the clothes on my back, my grandmother's camera, and my pride. And that was enough. Her family knows now. No, I didn't tell them. But secrets like that don't stay buried forever. Apparently, one of Alyssa's cousins found some old texts on her iPad and put two and two together. The fallout was nuclear. Her mom stopped speaking to her. Her uncle, Jay's father, tried to fight him at a barbecue last fall. I heard from a mutual acquaintance that Jay skipped town again. Some whispers about rehab, but no one knows for sure. The family tree is burning from the inside out. And for once, I didn't light the match. I just stepped away and let nature take its course. Therapy is working. I'm not healed, whatever that means. But I'm not dissociating anymore. I don't wake up at 3 a.m. feeling like I've swallowed glass. I don't avoid mirrors. I can say my ex-wife without flinching. My therapist says I've made significant progress, that I've moved out of survival mode and into actual recovery. We've spent a lot of time talking about grief. Not just grieving her or the marriage or the betrayal, but the version of myself that I lost in all of this. The man who believed that love was simple and safe. He's gone. I mourn him. But I also know this: what came out of the fire is someone wiser, sharper, more grounded. Someone who doesn't ignore red flags. Someone who trusts his instincts. I went no contact. Alyssa tried to reach out again around Christmas. A long message. Apologies. Explanations. Half of it sounded like a diary entry, the other half like a sales pitch. We were broken people who made a mistake. You were the best thing in my life. I hope you're doing okay. I didn't respond. I deleted it. Then I blocked her number for good. Closure isn't a conversation. It's a decision. Dating? Yeah. I've dipped my toes back in. Nothing serious yet. But I've had a few good dates. A few not so good ones too. I tell people early on that I've been divorced. I don't go into the details unless it feels safe. But I've been surprised by how many people respond with kindness instead of judgment. There's a quiet kind of intimacy that comes with being honest about your wounds. It's scary, but it's also freeing. One woman I met, let's call her Mia, has been interesting. In a good way. She's calm, thoughtful, doesn't press, doesn't flinch when I go quiet. We bonded over photography, actually. She showed me her street shots. I showed her my landscapes. We went to a farmer's market last weekend and it didn't feel like I was pretending. That's progress. And finally, me. I feel more like myself now than I have in years. I moved into a smaller place, a studio with lots of natural light. I hung up some of my photos. Got a cat. Her name's Olive, and she's either a demon or an angel depending on the hour. I go to the gym 3 times a week. I cook again. I read again. I don't check Alyssa's socials. I don't wonder what Jay is doing. I don't fantasize about revenge anymore. You know what I do instead? I breathe. I laugh. I take pictures of strangers on sidewalks and old buildings and skies that look like bruises right before sunset. And I feel, genuinely, like life is still worth living. So if you're reading this and you're where I was a year ago, shattered, spinning, questioning whether you'll ever feel okay again, please believe me. You will. Not tomorrow. Maybe not for months. But the day will come when you'll wake up and realize the pain doesn't control you anymore. You'll realize you survived. You'll realize that betrayal didn't kill you, it transformed you. And that's something to be proud of. Thanks for listening.